Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 150 of the Seezus Show, coming back to you with our bi-weekly content. I know we added some things as far as pop culture, film, and all that other good stuff as well, too, but it is playoff time. So we are definitely going to tailor this episode strictly towards the NBA playoffs. The plans are going on right now. So sorry for this full episode if we don't give you that in-depth analysis of a couple of the 7/8 seeds right now. But hope you guys enjoyed last episode where we reviewed the Superman trailer. We reviewed what was the film that we reviewed as well too? Why am I going blank right now?
Okay.
Novocaine as well too, and then basically like our impressions as the season, kind of wrapped up as well too. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my co-host Carl Conyers.
Good, everybody.
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Watching, they just showed that ugly dude, Reggie Miller, on my screen. So the
I
Warriors game finna start.
thought that was your boy, man.
Why would that be my boy? That's crazy.
I'm such a troll, such a troll. Everything been good with you though?
Everything been good, man. What about you?
Everything been good. Just like I told you, I literally right before we hopped on, I was, doing my taxes, but we got that taken care of. So now on to bigger and better things, you know what I'm saying?
Yup, yup.
Yeah, so I probably should have contacted Terrence, but I just figured he was probably with this girl and whatnot. So I was like, we'll just get him in by the time we're kind of deep into the first round, going into the second round as well, too. So Terrence, hope you had some good time with your girl, with your lady, with your special one as well, too. And we're gonna lock back in real soon.
Yeah, happy belated, Shav.
Happy belated. So we can get straight into it, man. There's been a firing over on the New Orleans side of things. I'm talking about the New Orleans Pelicans fired David Griffin from his position as executive vice president of basketball operations. So the decision came after the team missed the playoffs for the fourth time in Griffin's sixth year tenure. So this past season they finished 21 and 61, so they're probably most likely going to be a lottery pick. And basically, to kind of break down some things, David Griffin, before I believe leave before being dismissed of his duties for New Orleans Pelicans general manager position. He was the GM for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So we thought going into this 10 year, things are going to be pretty good. He did draft Zion. He did trade for CJ McCollum. He did trade for Lonzo at that one point in time. Also for DeJounte Murray, Brandon Ingram. The list goes on and on and on as well too. But throughout his 10 years, I already talked about, Zion being hurt, but plagued by injuries. You can say that, particularly key players like obviously your franchise players, Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum. Obviously, Ingram had the blood clot situations, and I think was it an index finger for DeJounte Murray? What major injury did he have?
He broke his hand and then he came back and tore his Achilles.
So
Real tough.
crazy. So
Yeah.
crazy. So despite drafting Zion Wilson, who was number one, the Pelicans never won a playoff series during Griffin's time as head coach of basketball operations as well too. But this is gonna mark a new chapter in the Pelicans era. So I kind of want to put things or send things over to you, Carl. How do you feel about David Griffin as a GM and also being fired in this new chapter that they're going towards?
Real quick, Demetrius already off to a good start. He just hit a bucket. I'm surprised he ain't shoot nobody. But I think that it's really tough, like that they fired him after this year. Uh, because this year to me had nothing to do with the talent you put on the team. You didn't even get to see the talent together. It was just injuries. Like the DeJounte, I'm pretty sure when he broke his hand, that was game one. If it wasn't game one, it was game two, but I'm pretty sure it was game one where he broke his hand. So it's like you already lost your big offseason acquisition the first game. Then Zion didn't play for who knows how long. I think he'll end up playing like maybe 30 games or something like that this year. That has nothing to do with David Griffin. And also Ingram missed a bunch of time. McCollum, like Jose Alvarado. Then the only guy who was healthy for most of the year, Trey Murphy, ended up like separating his shoulder. So like their whole season just was, one of those like just injuries. You can't win if your entire team and all your best players are injured. So I think it's kind of a tough position. I think he did do a lot of things to get good pieces around Zion. Like CJ McCollum, I think was a really good pickup, and Brandon Ingram. So yeah, I think it's tough. I think he's really more so, I think, just a symptom of them trying to reset and turn the page and hopefully start fresh. I just don't know how fresh you can get when Zion is your star player. At this point in time, it just doesn't feel like he's reliable. He feels very much like Embiid, to be honest with you, in that regard.
Hmm.
And you're never really gonna be able to go anywhere when your best player doesn't play.
No, I agree with you on that in that aspect. And I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and I was just like, it's kind of crazy seeing like the Shays of the world, Kate Cunningham, Tyrese Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox, all these other players like who kind of came around the same time or a couple years after him that have had multiple playoff bursts or at least made a playoff run. I mean, I know Zion kind of technically last year helped his team get to the playoffs, but he wasn't available. Like in the playing game, he went stupid, hurt his hamstring, so we never
Yep.
got to see him play in the playoffs. And it feels like he's been in the league for a decade. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh,
that's just kind of crazy to think about.
oh, wow. Real quick, it looks like Pods just got injured, like bad.
Bad knees.
Not his knee, but it looked like his groin or something. Something that he's like limping around. We gonna see.
Oh my God, man, that's crazy. So, I mean, obviously, David Griffin has experience from a GM perspective of bringing a championship to Cleveland, and I think he did a great job. With getting draft capital, getting a top pick, making essential trades, signing essential free agents. But like you said, the biggest thing was the injury. So, do you think they just had to be changed, or do you think they should have still gave him a chance, but been like, hey, like if you're going to be the GM, let's just start fresh. And like you said, it starts from the top down from a roster standpoint with just kind of getting rid of Zion and then hitting the refresh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that he necessarily deserved to be fired because again, I think there was a lot of circumstances that were out of his control when it came to the team's performance. But I do just get from the organizational standpoint of trying to start over, especially I think that's what trading Brandon Ingram signals. Um, yeah, it's tough. I think, I don't really know what the direction is in New Orleans, to be honest with you right now. I don't know what they're trying to do, and I don't think they're gonna do anything unless Zion can play like at least 60 games or something like that. So I think it's gonna be a bad situation for whoever steps into that job.
Yeah, I feel like whoever steps into that job, like the owner and the GM, have to have a conversation on like what they want to. Because, like you said, everything is centered around Zion Wilson. So it's just like, yo, what are we gonna do with this guy? Because he's basically one of the main reasons why he's holding us back. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we'll see what pick they get this year. Knowing the NBA with things they like to do, do you think they're a team that deserves the number one pick, or do you see it kind of going somewhere else? Because I feel like because back in the day, like they didn't have did they not have ownership at one point in time? Were they trying to sell the team?
David Stern, I'm pretty sure, owned the team. That's why he was able to, or either he or the NBA owned the team because that's why he was able to rescind that one trade. That would have brought, I think it was like Chris Paul to the Lakers.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
but I don't know if this honestly is a compared to like last year's draft felt like, it doesn't really matter if you're in the lottery, first pick, whatever. This year, I think those top five picks are all going to be really good.
yeah.
I like Ace Bailey. I like Dylan Harper, of course, Cooper Flag. There's another guy who was on that Duke team, who's the center. I can't pronounce his last name, but it starts with an M.
Hmm.
Um, there's a couple other people that I'm forgetting. Oh, Edgecombe, and this is just like a really nice draft. So I
Hmm.
think that even if they don't get the number one pick, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys has a better career than Cooper Flagg, to be honest with you. Uh,
Hmm.
to me, Cooper is, a lot of times when you pick number one, you're just picking the best bet. So it's like I think that Cooper will definitely still be good, but I think that some of these other guys really have potential. So this is a good year to be bad if you're going to be bad one year.
No, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. Obviously, the NBA is not a what you know, who you know. I mean, but that's everything, with business in general as well too. Do you see David Griffin getting another GM opportunity in the near future?
Maybe. I just don't know, to be real, if he honestly, I think it's one of those things that just depends on how he's still viewed within some of these NBA circles. I don't know if it's something that like the us fans are really going to be able to tell because it's not like he was super successful. Again, like we said, I think it was some things that are out of his control, but um, it doesn't feel like he's still, regardless of injury or not, it doesn't feel like he put together like a juggernaut or something like that. It's not like he was Brad Stevens and put together, the Celtics team or the GM Sam Presti for the Thunder, put that team together. So I think that if there's somebody else, some young guy or something like that, he might get passed over.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that as well too. So it's unfortunate, like you said, the biggest thing was the injuries. So the choices you make kind of fall on you. So it's unfortunate, but I can definitely, just because of the injury sake, I can definitely see that happening. But I mean, at that point, if you're going to fire the GM, you might as well just have a clean state with the medical staff, coaching staff, all that as well too, dog.
Medical staff got to go for sure, for sure. Even if y'all, it's not y'all fault, it's just you can't happen.
Don't make sense. Another medical staff they got to go to is probably the Charlotte Hornets.
I think if I'm being completely honest, the Charlotte Hornets need to fold. They either need to fold or like move to another. They can become the new Seattle Supersonics or something. But like, I think this just everything in that franchise is cursed. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
don't even think injuries were that big for them. Like LaMelo, he always misses time. That's another thing. Again, like I don't think that that's LaMelo like Zion. I don't think that has anything to do with the training or whatever. But the
Hmm.
other people,
And then Brandon Miller, didn't he get like sat down for like season ending surgery or something too?
yeah. But his was also like I think it was like his shoulder or something like that.
Hmm.
Even then, some of these like really trash teams, like the Hornets, and they know they're gonna be trash and trying to be trash. Those guys could probably play again at some point in the season, but it's just like why?
Yeah, yeah. And then to wrap things up, speaking of, GMs in the hot seat, obviously Coach Bud got fired as well too. But do you think that their GM, former Cavs champion James Jones, is in the hot seat as well?
He should be. But
Absolutely.
I think the only reason he isn't is because a lot of these decisions it seems like are coming straight from the owner.
On some
And
Jerry Jones shit.
yeah, so it's like I think that they're hopefully the owner's smart enough to be like, well, I can't get mad at him for just doing what I told him to do.
Yeah. No, that's facts. That's facts. All right, man. Let's go ahead and get into some of these matchups as well, too. So obviously there's still some teams that are playing right now. But we are fresh off of a play-in game for the battle for the seventh seed, and it was the Atlanta Hawks versus the Orlando Magic. And obviously the Orlando Magic was the higher seed, seven, and Atlanta Hawks was eight seed. Magic put that what the YN say BTA on the Atlanta Hawks, winning 120-95, and I'm so mad. I don't know why, but I only put $5 down. It was $5 down for like a $3,500 cash out, and basically it was like all four teams tonight would score individually 60 points a half. But I also kind of forgot that it's playoff basketball, so it's going to be kind of a slugfest. The Magic, upheld their end of the deal, but Atlanta Hawks not so well. But anyways, the Atlanta Hawks are gonna go on to face the Boston Celtics. Let me know your thoughts, your breakdown, whatever you want to call it, with
No,
this
the
two versus
Magic
seven
won't beat
seed.
the Celtics.
Yeah, Orlando Magic. I'm sorry, Orlando Magic. The seven seed will take on the two seed Boston Celtics when the playoffs officially start. What are your thoughts um, on that series, and how many games you think is going to go?
I think one real quick is like I hope that the Hawks honestly don't make it. I hope that they lose the next game and don't make it into the playoffs because they are without their second best player. And honestly, Jalen Johnson might be their best player. And I think that's really tough. And they also don't have Clint Capella and I think another person too. So they just didn't look it just looked terrible, honestly, out there against the Magic. But I think that the Magic are going to get smacked. They might win one game, but like the way that they even looked tonight against this depleted ass Hawks team was just not really good. Their Cole Anthony is a hooper and he was going crazy, but he's to me, like a J.R. Smith type of guy. It's like I can't rely on that to happen. Like if it's gonna happen, that's gonna be great. But I just don't know if he's gonna be hot like that every night. And then there are other guys like Franz can't shoot threes anymore, which is super crazy to me because he wasn't a bad 3-point shooter his like first 2 years, but he's terrible now. And Paolo can just be inconsistent shooting percentage wise. I think that he's always going to do some good things, especially tonight. Like he had a lot of assists when he wasn't scoring early. And of course, he's going to get rebounds, and they're a great defensive team, but like they just don't have scorers. They don't have a lot of guys who can go off the dribble and like do things. So, playing the Celtics, who for all intents and purposes are still the great team that they were last year. I just don't think, honestly, I think they would be very lucky to even get one game.
Mm, interesting. So you got a 4-0 sweep.
Yeah.
One thing I do like about the Orlando Magic is, well, first and foremost, we can kind of like go back to memory lane. So obviously they're not within the same division, so they only played each other three times this year, and out of those three times, Orlando lost twice out of those three times. So the first meeting they lost only by 4 points. Second meeting they lost by damn near 30, and then the third meeting they lost by 20 as well too. But let's not forget that their two stars, Wagner and Paolo, were kind of in and out of the lineup as well too. So I'm looking right now, and it looks like Franz was only available for one game with them, which was literally on the ninth. And he played pretty efficient, 9 of 17 from the field, but he missed the first two games. And then Paolo obviously had the same similar injury, so he missed some key games with them as well too. So it would definitely be a completely new look. One thing I do like about Orlando is that they do have, I feel like, the most size for Boston um, that they're going to face. So I'm looking forward to that. So I think there could be some moments where you see Tatum and Brown getting bothered, but the overall talent gap with Orlando versus with Boston is just through the roof.
Right.
So I don't necessarily see it being a sweep because Boston do play with their food. They're the type of team who lives and die by three, even though they live and die by the three. Like they don't necessarily always have to do that. Like they have the personnel to play inside out and slow the game down, but they kind of are a drive and kick team that lives and die by the three. So, having said that, if they have a bad shooting night, there's a lot of points and transitions that can get generated for the Orlando Magic. So I can see them probably stealing one home game, but overall, I feel like it goes 4-1 in favor of Boston. Boston kind of coasted at times this year, and obviously they kind of took a blueprint out of Coach Pop of the old, where they didn't necessarily play or not play, but they rested a good amount of their starters throughout the entire season just to stay fresh. So I feel like they're going to be motivated. They're going to turn that playoffs switch on, and it's going to be a good one. So I feel like there's probably going to be maybe one or two blowouts from just being hot from deep, and then from there, it's probably just going to be a grind out game, um, and then like a back and forth game, and they pull back a little late in one of those games. But I think overall it's going to be 4-1. Star power, they got it. Depth, they got it. Coaching, they got it as well too. And it's just something about having Porzingis, who's essentially their luxury, who's essentially like their KD, how Katie was for the Golden State Warriors when they try to go on that three-peat. I just don't see I just don't see it being good. So it's gonna be interesting, but
I
I got 4-1, man. I got 4-1.
quick question. I know you were mentioning who was playing in those games. Did the Celtics have all their players? Like was Porzingis playing? Was Holiday playing?
See, I should have looked in on that as well too. But if I were a betting man, I would say one thing that was probably constant was one of the starting five was definitely out of that because Porzingis didn't come back to what December I think as well too. Drew Holiday was battling some injuries.
Yeah.
Jalen Brown had some nagging injuries that he kind of went through as well too. So I'm definitely gonna look that one up and see what's good with that. So that definitely does add another element to it. So
I just,
yeah,
of course, they're gonna dominate the Magic. Just are
I just
the
like that
Magic.
size in the half court.
I feel you, but the Magic against like uh an average to below average defense still can barely get to like 100. They're about to
Mhm.
play a great defense with size and like yeah. But I mean, you're only giving them one game, so it's not like I just think they're gonna get smacked. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough, but they're the defending champs for a reason. They got the higher seat for a reason. So I, I expect them to take care of business. Like I said, just because of how they play their brand of basketball and how they can be notable for going cold from three. That's the only reason why I give Orlando a chance as well too. Because Boston on a good night can give you 115, 120, 130 a night. So if they clanking them threes, I can see it being in the low 100s or high 90s.
yep. So
So
what?
so you got sweep. I got 4-1. Are you changing your mind with that?
Nope.
All right, cool. So after that, we do have where we gonna go next? You know what? Knicks Pistons. Knicks Pistons.
Yes,
We got the third
sir.
seed in the New York Knicks, and then we got the 6th seed Pistons. For the series, the Pistons actually dominated the New York Knicks 3-1. But you are the Pistons guy. I don't know if we're gonna get some bias or just straight up logic with you or a combination of both. Let me know your thoughts on this potential match, and not on this potential matchup, on this matchup in particular.
Man, ain't nobody worried about the New York shits. Okay. All right. No. But I think that even not like I mean I'm gonna have bias regardless, but not fully being biased, I think that this is gonna be a good and close series. I'm gonna take the Pistons in this one.
Ooh.
Because I think that this is gonna be Cade's coming out party. I think he's really like he's been, of course, people who really watch have been seeing him go crazy all year, but a lot of people aren't really paying attention to small market teams until it comes to the playoffs. So I think this is gonna be like, and he's playing the Knicks, he's gonna be playing MSG and all of that. Like this is the perfect opportunity for him to like really put himself on the national stage in front of everybody. And I just like the depth of our team. I think that they surrounded Cade perfectly with a bunch of shooters. And that's the one real advantage. Like, of course, I if I'm being honest, I probably would say that Brunson is better than Cade, but I think that's very close. And I think that also because of Cade's size, it still gives him a lot of advantages that Brunson doesn't have. But if I were to take like the top two players, I think that the Knicks top two are definitely better than like our top two because I don't even who our second best player is just whatever. But when it comes to like the overall depth of the team, I think that the Pistons have a decided advantage because the Knicks don't play anybody outside of their starters. They really don't. And their starters, honestly, it's a lot of ugly offense. Like Cat, of course, can cook and Brunson can cook, but OG is not really consistent on that end. And Bridges, I feel like, isn't really as consistent when he's not like the focal point. Josh Hart is definitely not consistent. Um, and neither is what Miles McBride or Campaign. So I just don't really like a lot of the Knicks depth pieces, and I think that the playoffs is a lot of the time when your depth really starts to matter. So I would take the Pistons in 6 or 7 games. I want to say six, but I'm gonna go with seven.
Mm, wow. Okay. Didn't expect that. I think, well, first of all, like, I think this is a win now setting for the New York Knicks. Obviously, they had the blockbuster trade, and you brought in another All Star and Karl Anthony Towns, who's most likely, along with Cade Cunningham and along with Jalen Brunson, is going to be a part of first, second, or third All NBA team as well too. So I think I know you guys kind of beat them, what, like I said, 3 games to 1 in their regular season, but it's a brand new season when the postseason starts as well too. And I think Coach Tibbs is known for his defensive prowess. And I know that the New York Knicks necessarily didn't fare that well against playoff based teams, but when you have 2 weeks of game plan from one particular team, I think that's going to definitely work work wonders. And I think we always give a knock on Coach Tibbs for playing his players through the ground, and I think it was a blessing in disguise um, seeing Jalen Brunson get hurt for other players to at least get some minutes, so Coach Tibbs can kind of figure out who he can trust. But I mean, with the rotation in general, it gets shortened anyways, and I do like. And I think that Jalen Brunson is way more healthier as well too, and took a little bit of mileage off of him going on into this series. But I think I'm going to give the coaching edge to Tibbs over JB. And I like, since we're having limited players play with rotation, I like it in favor of the New York Knicks, man. I like it in favor of New York Knicks. And I think this is going to be a Karl Anthony Towns series where I know last year he played a lot of the four and Rudy Gobert kind of took away from him, and kind of made him more so of a spot up shooter. But I think we're going to really see Cat play at 3 levels. I know he's kind of been up and down, but I think this is going to be a coming out party. And when I say coming out party, I don't necessarily say Cat playing above his playing above his regular season averages, but I think he's going to get to his regular season averages as well too. But with the Pistons, bro, like, to be honest with you, I know you guys have had a great year, but and you guys do have depth, but like there's no one. I mean, you can kind of argue that for the Knicks too, but just to play devil's advocate, there's no one I really fear, like seriously fear outside of Cade Cunningham. So I kind of give that 7-8 man rotation edge to the Knicks. Um, and I think with Cade, is Ivy back?
Not yet. They said he still might, but
Okay, so with Cade, I think Cade's gonna get his numbers, but I think they're gonna make it really hard for him. And you probably have a better insight with me of how Cade was being guarded, because it looks like he was then averaging 30 against them in those 4 games. But I think Tibbs is gonna like send him a lot of different looks, whether that is sending late traps, doubling him, switching on everything, picking him up full court. So I feel like this is Cade's first test in the playoffs, and I think from game one over to game 6 or 7, it's really going to wear on him. So there's either going to be a philosophy, or we're gonna wear him down in the fourth quarter. That's your clutch player. Let's see if he still has those legs to not only defend, but also to put that ball in the basket. I think that's going to be tough, because if you're taking the ball out of his hands, man, I know Malik Beasley's had a good season, but he's a specialist. Tobias Harris, he can be a scorer from 3 levels, but there's nothing that I've seen from the past playoff performances that will make me believe that he's going to be that guy that's going to be consistent. I know Tim Hardaway Jr. has that experience as well too, but like I said, another specialist. So I don't know, and you can kind of help me with this. I don't know outside of Cade who's going to be that guy to basically help steer the ship to get to the promised land with him as well too. So just off of that alone, I gotta go with the Knicks. The Knicks in 6 in Detroit, and
I
the
mean, if we being real though, like
Uh-huh.
we have seen, and for me, I'm not talking. I'm just talking about winning this first round. I don't think they could win the championship, but
Yeah.
I think we have definitely seen a player in Cade's mold, basically a point forward, be surrounded with a bunch of shooters and players that complement him, and they go far. And I
Mhm.
just think that's the archetype for this team.
I agree with that, but I don't know. I just something just throws me off about Malik Beasley with Tobias Harris, with what's the other guy's name that I just mentioned? Tim Hardaway Jr.
We got Dennis Schroeder too.
You do have Dennis
That was a nice
Shooter.
pickup. I like that.
That was a great pickup. He is another ball handler that can get his own bucket, and he's done that pretty consistently, not only in the NBA but also with international play as well too. So that's going to be interesting. But I think because I mean I could be wrong, but it is going to be Cade's first go around. And I know you guys do have some vets as well too, but as a team, you guys haven't been there together. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how well you guys face adversity as well too, especially going into New York. I know superstars be going off in New York. Tyrese Halliburton's played well in the past. Trey Young's played well in the past, and the other players, Jimmy Butler's name a few, but it's going to be interesting to see how you guys come together and face adversity as well too. And K is also one of those guys who isn't he one of the top guys who leads the league in drawing fouls. I wonder how that's going to play to his advantage if he can't get those foul calls as well too, because he's going to have that quote unquote rookie playoff hazing going into the playoffs as well too. So it's going to be interesting, man. But you got OG, you got Hart, you got Mikal Bridges, you got a couple bodies to pull to put on him as well too. So I really just think he's going to get worn down, and I just feel like he won't be as efficient in the fourth quarter as well too. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But at the end of the day, I do see a good series. But I got to go 4-2 in favor of the New York Knicks, man. I think Jalen Brunson's on a mission. OG's been playing great, especially since Jalen Brunson's been out. So we're going to see Brunson play a little bit more off ball and allow other guys to cook. And like I said, I think it's going to be a cat series. So Jalen Duran's been playing pretty well, but I think with Cat's floor spacing as well too, I think Jalen Duran's going to be in for a surprise. So I got 4-2. I got 4-2 Knicks, man. I'm sorry.
You gave us 2 games. I'll take it.
Okay. Okay. Moving on from that, we have another series as well too. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Los Angeles Lakers. They had a series tie 2 games to 2, and I think only within those 4 games, Luka Doncic played one game. So passing things over to you, obviously this is going to be the first time in the LeBron era that the Lakers have had home court advantage. And then also with the Minnesota Timberwolves,
Oh,
obviously they have a little mix up. They have Julius Randle, home court advantage to start the playoffs. But obviously, the biggest switch was Julius Randle for Karl Anthony Towns. Obviously, they did come off of a great season last season in the playoffs, beating the defending champs, and also going to the Western Conference Finals. Obviously, things didn't end well, and with the Lakers, they're the team that got swept by the defending champs. So, how do you see this series panning out with the Lakers and with the Minnesota Timberwolves?
I think the year that they won the ship, they were definitely had home court going into the playoffs.
Oh, I guess because the bubble, I didn't really count that, but yeah, you're right.
Real. But no, they were good. That's the one thing I'll give them that year is they were really good before the bubble. Like they were
Mhm.
still one of the best teams in the league beforehand, I'm pretty sure.
I
Uh,
agree. I agree.
but I think this is gonna be an amazing series. I'm like the Western Conference playoffs this year, you know, per usual, they could end up just being the best team wins or whatever, but I think that these matchups are gonna be fantastic, bro. And is even though he said he doesn't want to be the face of the league, he's like the young face of the league basically, and him playing against LeBron is going to be crazy, and of course then they have Luca. Um, I in this one I'm gonna take the Lakers in 6, but I would not be surprised if somehow like the Timberwolves record for the second half of the year has been way better in their overall record. And I think also a lot of that is adjusting to Julius Randle, and Julius Randle also missed a good amount of time in the middle of the season. So it took them a lot longer to be able to fully integrate him. But I think once they did, they look like a lot better. I don't want to say better than last year, but they look like a lot better than their record shows.
Mm, yeah. So you say you have it in how many games?
Six. I'm gonna take the Lakers in six.
So six would mean that they go to Minnesota and things as well too. I think it's gonna be a game seven field, man. This is pretty much the same team for the Minnesota Timberwolves as far as the core. Obviously, the biggest swap out was Julius Randle for Karl Anthony Towns, but you also did add Dante DiVincenzo in that trade as well too. Um, I got the Lakers in seven. I think this is probably going to be one of the best series, but oh, I think with LeBron not having to be the number one option, I think this is going to fare very well for him. He gets to play a little bit more off ball, and we're going to see him at moments play the five position as well too. And you know, Rudy Gobert, Rudy Gobert does not have no back to the basket game. Hands is not that good. He's only good for setting screen. Is going to be a lob there as well too. I just think that Luka is the king of hunting mismatches, and he's probably going to play Rudy Gobert off the floor. But then again, I don't know because last year with Chris Finch, he was pretty stubborn. He kept Rudy Gobert in the game within the series the entire time. So I'm not sure what we're gonna get out of Chris Finch. And you know me, I like to make jokes and call Julius Randle your boy. But I mean, you probably know his playoff stats better than mine. He does not play well in the playoffs. So I think I think from a defensive standpoint, they have bodies to at least kind of bother Braun and Luca, but Austin Reeves has been playing out of this world, and you get your third best or your third best defender going on Austin Reeves. I think it's going to be another series where Austin Reeves plays well. I know this is JJ Redick's first go around, so we're gonna. It's gonna be. I'm gonna be curious to see what kind of adjustment he makes as well too. But LeBron hasn't really proven to me that he's going to slow down even at the age of 40. So I think with him and having a Luca that's motivated and Austin Reeves, who you can argue is going to be in consideration for most improved player, I think it's going to be good as well too. And I like the additions of Dorian Finney-Smith. I also like Rui Hachimura, who's been back in the lineup, has been playing relatively well. Obviously, Jared Vanderbilt is another defensive presence that's going to be good for them too. And then Jackson Hayes is playing well too. So I like the Lakers depth. I like the Lakers star power. And even though this is JJ Redick's first go around, I'm gonna have to give the edge to him as well too. I think he's a better coach. It's kind of hard to kind of quantify that, but I think he's a better coach. So I got the Lakers pulling it out at seven because I know they had a little drop off from a defensive standpoint. Um, when they started losing a little bit once Luca got acquired. But if they can keep that defense that they had before that drop off, I think it's going to work wonders as well too. Um, so yeah, I got the Lakers. I got the Lakers in seven. Because yeah, I think Rudy Gobert is going to be played off the floor. I mean, you got the thing is like I know Braun's 40, but like even though they got Nikhil, they got what's the other guy's name? Who's the other guy that they paid that's a two-way player with the headband
Jordan. Oh, you're talking about for the
for
Timberwolves?
the Minnesota Timberwolves, yeah. Can't think of his name.
Uh,
So you got Nikhil, and then you have what's the other guard? He starts at the,
Conley?
at the no, not him. Long dude, 6'9". Um
McDaniels? He's not a guard.
McDaniels,
Oh, he a
McDaniels.
forward. Yeah, forward.
Yeah, forward.
Mhm.
I mean, I know he's 6'9", but he's not that big. And then another thing, Julius Randle's not really known for his defense. So I think they have more bodies that kind of bother Luca, but Bron's just too big for him. And like I said, they have three legit options that you have, so it's really going to be hard. Um, And the thing, and the biggest knock that we had with the Lakers, even in the past, and even when LeBron's on the Cavs, it was always like when LeBron's off the floor, they don't have that other guy that can kind of dictate the pace of the game. But now you have two Brons, and then if that's not working out, you have Reeves. So I think they're gonna have their hands full. But I think it's gonna be one of those series where each team just wins their home game, and the Lakers are gonna pull out in Game 7. So we'll see. After that, we have the Indiana Pacers going up against the Milwaukee Bucks, and I think this is in favor of. Is it in favor of the Bucks? The Bucks won 3 games to 1, I believe, right?
In the regular season?
In the regular season, won 3 games to 1. Obviously, the biggest thing is Damian Lillard is still up in the air. I don't think he's been completely ruled out. I think it's going to be one of those series where even though he isn't completely ruled out, they're going to take it game by game, and if he's needed, maybe he'll play. But I'm just going to have out of sight, out of mind. He's not playing. But what are your thoughts on this Bucks versus Indiana Pacers series?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because they did already say like that he's going to at least for sure miss the start of this round. So it'll be interesting to see if he does return at any point, like maybe game 4 or something like that. But I as much as I like Giannis, that team really sucks without the two of them. Like they're one of those where it's like if you don't have these two, then you don't have nothing. So I just can't see them winning a series against, especially because the Pacers are just so fast paced and they're just like up and down and young and all that. So um, there's so much of that's contingent to me on this one on injury. But if Dame comes back, I would take them in 7 only because I think he's gonna take it. I think the earliest he comes back is like game 3 or something like that. So they could find themselves potentially down 0-2. Uh, but if Dame doesn't come back, I think this could be over in 5 or 6 in favor of the Pacers.
Mm, damn. Okay. Okay. Um.
Because Kuzma ain't doing nothing.
Carly Kuzma. Um. I'm kind of feeling like you when you gave your predictions for the Pistons, where I'm gonna be slightly biased. Dame played limited games. Obviously, Giannis didn't play last year. Um, and this is Doc Rivers' first full season with the Milwaukee Bucks. But it's Giannis, man. It's Giannis. I think he has something to prove. He hasn't played in the playoffs since 2 years ago. And I think he's extremely motivated to prove all the naysayers wrong as well too.
You
I
think
know the
Giannis
Indiana
can do something
Pacers.
by himself?
I think he's gonna be on his LeBron James shit that one year when the cat. I'm not saying that he's gonna get to the finals, but as far as just like having a grind out
He couldn't even do
series,
anything without Chris Middleton, bro. Like, I just think his history shows which isn't a knock because everyone needs someone else. Like, nobody really
hmm
wins without somebody else. But like,
yeah,
he's, and I don't think that, at least to me, I don't think that this is prime Giannis. I think he's still, say he's at like 97% or something like that. But I think we've already seen the 100% form of him.
yeah.
And if he couldn't do it then, I don't know. But sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, bro. I think he's gonna play like Bron, and like you said, Indiana plays at a very fast pace, and what you don't want to do is play into their hands. So I think we're gonna see, and we actually like once Dame went out, we started to see Giannis really. I mean, he was kind of forced to become even more of a point forward, but he's literally bringing the ball up the court and he's really slowing the pace down. So I think he's going to have to slow the pace down like how LeBron did, whether it was the first year without Kyrie and Kevin Love in the finals, even though they lost in the six, or that year without Kyrie Irving and a bunch of role players with Kevin Love when they eventually got swept as well too. So I think outside of 3 point percentage, you can argue this is one of Giannis's best years from his MVP years. So much more improved mid range game. I think Giannis you don't necessarily like their role players or the players that are around them, but they still do have a lot of capable players of at least stretching the floor and giving space for Giannis as well too. I'm looking at it right now. I know you hate Kuzma,
He's
but
not a floor
Kuz,
spacer. Kuzma is not a floor spacer. Look at his 3-point percentage.
what's his 3 point percentage this year?
Never been good. He's never been a good 3-point shooter.
So it sucks. He's been 30% this year, but it looks like the last 10 games has been 42%.
10 games
Hopefully,
ain't nothing, bro. What?
that's true. That's true. 10 games ain't nothing, but it is as of late. But he's a capable 3 point shooter. I know he's not known for his 3 point shooting, but he's a capable corner 3 point shooter. And he is a guy that's proven that he can somewhat get his buckets on his own as well too. So you got Kuz who can spread the floor. You also have Bobby Portis who can spread the floor, who just came back fresh legs. Brooke Lopez isn't a joke as well too, and then you got Kevin Porter Jr., who's been a pretty good Swiss Army knife for them as well too, since Dame's been down. Gary Trent Jr. is a sniper, Prince is a sniper, so they have the shooters. But like I said, they what they're really gonna do is they have to win the games on the board. And they have to limit transition points as well too. And I know they don't have capable. There's nobody on your team on that team where you look at them and be like, all right, he's gonna have an effect to shut them down, but you may just have to, in a way, just let Tyrese Halliburton be that one that beats you with his scoring. I know it's gonna be hard, but that's just gonna have to be the game plan. But I think it's gonna go back to back regardless. They both scored a very high clip, but if they can just limit the transition points and really slow that pace down and play in the half and force the any paces to play in the half court set, I may have to give it to Giannis. And this sounds crazy, but I think I'm gonna go with the Bucks in 6 and wrap it up in Indiana and Giannis gets his get back.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Um, and then Clippers Nuggets, man, series is tied 2-2. Kawhi didn't play in any of those games as well. Um, this is arguably going to be the best series of the entire playoffs in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference.
You think it's gonna be the best
Obviously,
series of the playoffs
yeah, bro.
in the
And
first
he,
round?
yeah, bro.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
bro. You got MVP versus this hot Clippers team as of late. Playoff Kawhi is something to deal with. And low key, the Clippers, when Kawhi is healthy, or even when he was in the Raptors and even the Spurs, like he low key always being some crazy ass first rounds. But what are your thoughts on that series, man?
Real quick, Steph is that guy, bro. He just got a 4-point play against they beating the Grizzlies by like 15. And I
15 right now?
thought they was gonna get smacked. Like, yeah. But I think that I think Nuggets Clippers gonna be really good, but I don't know. I think like OKC and the Lakers, are they on the same side of the bracket? No, they're not. Yeah. So like we could potentially have a OKC Lakers conference finals. That would be fantastic, bro.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that the Clippers have been playing so good the past like month or so, especially like since Kawhi is kind of back in form now. But it's hard because the if the Nuggets hadn't just fired their coach, I would easily go with them. I wouldn't even be like a question. I would go with the Nuggets if they hadn't just fired their coach, but they just fired their coach, and that don't even make any sense. Um, so I might actually, I think I'm gonna go with the Quiet Storm.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that boy. Why?
Okay. Okay. How many games?
That's gonna have to be. It's crazy. I'm picking a lot of sevens, but I think this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be a good first round. I'm gonna go 6. I'm gonna go 6 because I don't like
Okay.
the Nuggets' depth. I really hate their depth, and that's why I'm glad they fired the GM as well because he's more so needed to go other than the coach. But
Mm. Yeah, man. I think the Clippers are going to want their get back. I know it's a completely newly constructed team. The only constants has probably been Big Zoo and also Kawhi Leonard. And obviously they have a new coach as well too. But the last time they saw each other was in the bubble. The Clippers were up 3-1 and just blew the hell out of that lead as well too. But I'd say like from watching the Clippers from their first go around, when Kawhi got there till now, it seems like they have, if anything, more of an identity than I've seen of the past as well too. There's no egos. Everyone knows their role. And I just really believe in Ty Lue to make those adjustments. And like you said, the biggest red flag, bro, like you said, Malone got injured, bro. So I know you're still gonna have somewhat of his philosophies with a little bit of your philosophy sprinkled in there as well too. But I just don't know if the coach is gonna make the essential adjustments to put Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets in position to thug it out this series as well too. And like you said, I don't necessarily like their depth at their high, they had Bruce Brown, they had Jeff Green, and they had their quintessential 3 and D. What's his name? I'm going blank right now. KCP as well too. And you essentially, obviously, you drafted Christian Braun, and then who's that new guy that they're trying to play right now that they are even arguing over? I can't even think of his name right
Pickett.
now. What was his name?
Pickett.
Yeah, Pickett, and then Russell Westbrook. I love Russ as well too, but Russ can be known to be turnover prone and not make the best decisions in the clutch time as well. I know they have a good winning percentage with him on the floor, but he's gonna have to be that guy that comes off the bench and can spur any form of energy for that team as well too. Jamal Murray just got back from the hamstring injury. I mean, honestly, their starting five has kind of been in and out the lineup as well too. So we'll see how that goes. But I know for a fact Joker, whether he's MVP runner up or they give a co MVP, but it seems like what we said last week, the media is obviously going to probably give it to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Jokic is going to have his numbers. Like, ain't no cutting no water off with him. Like, I know they're going to have a philosophy game by game. Are we going to make him a scorer or are we going to take away the assists? The biggest thing is probably to take away his assists, right? Because you don't want those others to get involved as well too. But like you said, they don't have that depth as much as before. Um, what MPJ are we going to get? Are we going to get someone that's going to be streaky? What Aaron Gordon are we going to get? Is he going to be? Is he going to keep that same aggression that he had when Jamal Murray went out? And like I said, Jamal Murray, you can argue he's one of the top playoff performers, but he just did come off that hamstring injury. Is that going to be something that we kind of see as well too? But the Nuggets, like you said before, and you were kind of arguing me, and I had to really evaluate. They not outside of Aaron Gordon, bro. Who do you have on that team you trust to like give any form of resistance from a defensive standpoint? Like I really can't think of anyone. So I think it's going to be a James Harden series. Like, and I think obviously Golden State Warriors. I know it's one game, but like just looking at that game with Golden State Warriors, the biggest knock that I had on James Harden. Obviously, he's had some playoff meltdowns as well too. But I see a different lighting a fire in his eyes and just comparing to not necessarily last year, but even when I saw him when he was suited up with the Philadelphia 76ers, I didn't really see because of those injuries that explosion, that extra pep in the step that he had. And obviously that's kind of deteriorated from prime James Harden till now, but just watching him mix whatever got thrown out at him versus the Golden State Warriors and knowing that the Nuggets don't have those defensive pieces, I don't see anyone guarding him as well too. I mean, you can say, "Oh, we're gonna put Aaron Gordon on him," but then who you gonna put on Kawhi? You know what I'm saying? So I think with Harden, he's known to be a rhythm based scorer, but I think I don't see anyone staying in front of him laterally. So I think him and Kawhi are gonna eat at the line. So from a three level perspective, from inside the arc to the mid range to creating not only for others, but shooting at a high clip from the 3 point level, I don't really see anyone stopping them. And I think this is Zubac's coming out party. Jokic isn't a bad defender. He plays his angles pretty well. But I think, and you can also argue James Harden played a pretty big role of having Ivica Zubac having a career year. But watching Zubac this year has been a delight, man. Like not only being a great screener, a great lob threat, but he gives me that old school, give it to me in the block, and I'm gonna go to work and bang down low. So if you can make Joker work, and get him a little bit tired on the offensive standpoint, knowing that the Nuggets don't have the firepower and depth as of old, I think that's gonna work magic for them as well too. So I'm gonna have to probably go with the Clippers. I think I agree with you. The Clippers in six. I think I'm gonna go with the Clippers. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Clippers in six. I like the coaching. I like their star power. I like their health. Um, and I think Coach Lou is one of the best of having not only in-game adjustments, half out of timeout adjustments, but game by game adjustments. So they definitely gonna put a lot of tight on ball pressure. I feel like on Jokic, they're gonna have some smart help rotations for Jokic, and they're gonna really try to be active and disrupt that passing lane as well too. Man, I really like their depth. You got Norman Powell, who also I forgot to mention him, arguable, who can be argued for most improved player, but I don't think he played enough games. None can be someone that kind of bothers Jamal Murray a little bit as well too. Bogey's a sniper as well. He can actually stay on the floor because he doesn't have to worry too much about being hunted as much. Um, we like to joke on Ben Simmons, but he can guard the 1 through 5, and give some form of relief to Zubac as well too. But yeah, man, Amir Coffey, Derrick Jones Jr., another defender. They got the depth, bro. So I'm gonna go with the Clippers in six, bro. I think I'm gonna go with the Clippers in six.
Bro,
So
we got
are
the
there any games? Are there any games that we missed?
we don't know who the Cavs are gonna play, and we don't know who the Thunder are gonna play, but I mean, it looks like the Rockets are probably gonna play the Warriors. Let's just act like the Rockets are gonna play the Warriors.
All right, I'm gonna turn it over to you. If the Rockets do end up playing the Warriors, who you got and why?
I think that if the Rockets play the Warriors, I'm gonna pick the Warriors. I think the
Mm,
Warriors are just like how I described Minnesota in that they have the second half of the season been a team that is not indicative of their overall record. And of course, the Timberwolves is more just kind of getting in sync. The Warriors is from making a midseason trade that I think just changed the outlook of their team, of course, from a personnel standpoint, but I think it also activated Steph in that I think he just really didn't care in the first half of the season, which is very real and understandable. Like I wouldn't either when it's like I'm 37 and y'all haven't put a decent team in front of me. Like, why am I even going to try?
mm.
As soon as they actually made some efforts, he started turning up. So, you know, it's always the thing of they're an inexperienced team. So I have a tough time picking the Rockets. Of course, I know Fred VanVleet is a champion and they have Dylan Brooks, but to me, those two just aren't really enough. I don't trust Şengün. I definitely don't trust Jalen Green. Uh, so yeah, I would take the Warriors in six. I give the Rockets definitely be able to get 2 games, but that's it.
Yeah, off of just having home court alone, I'm gonna give the Rockets winning one game, and then off of Ime Udoka, I'm gonna give the Rockets winning another game. So I got the Warriors in six as well too. Had it been next year and they played each other again, I give it to the Rockets. But there's there there's stars who I think they're going to be the stars. So with Sengun, with Jalen Green, Thompson's emergence probably within 2 years or so, they're not ready yet. And I've seen Jalen Green play live. He has a lot of talent. Upside looks crazy, but he still has to work on that jump shot, and he hasn't faced adversity yet. Kind of like a situation. Well, nah, I'm not even going to disrespect. I know K hasn't even been to playoffs, but they're just two caliber, different types of players. But just with that experience, I think that's going to show. And I'm curious, like when it comes down to it, especially in clutch time, like who is going to be their definitive number one? I don't know. Like, is Ame going to empower a specific player to get their bucket? Are they just going to try to do it by committee? Are they going to have egos where it's like, we don't really have a number one, so I'm gonna try to do some more. No, I'm gonna try to do some more. So I really don't know. The Warriors just have to Jimmy has to go nuclear. Like if it's anything that we saw with that last game in the regular season, that's how he has to play every night as well too. But I will say Warriors also have to rebound as well too. They have to rebound. If they don't rebound, they're going to get punished by Sengun and those other guys, and Steven Adams of the world as well too. But I think even though they have Dylan Brooks and they have Fred VanVleet and they have Steven Adams for those veterans, like I said, the stars haven't really been there. The young stars haven't been there. But I do like the Rockets defense, especially I think what was it that one game when Steph shot like 1 of 12 or something from the field.
Mhm.
Ma was just throwing boxing one at him, pressuring him full court, chasing them around everywhere. You got the young lads to chase them around anywhere. So the only thing I'm kind of nervous about is like I feel like with the Warriors to win this series, Steph and Jimmy have to damn near score 25, 30 plus a night. And I'm a little nervous is like if Steph is getting exhausted and you kind of have to lean on Jimmy and then the other role players knocking down their shots. I'm a little nervous about that. But it's Steph Curry, man. It's Jimmy Butler. I think they're on a mission. Draymond Green wants to speak it into existence. Hopefully Kaminga plays. He didn't play the other game. Is he playing tonight?
I haven't seen him yet, actually.
That shit crazy. Steve Kerr on one. But just mostly because of their youth, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Golden State Warriors. Um, I hate saying the lucky number six, but I think I'm gonna go with six as well too.
Good.
Yeah.
We're gonna see.
So
We got our
yeah,
pick in.
we got our picks in. We got our picks in. So to wrap things up, we can keep this under literally 10 seconds per team with teams that we know that are in the playoffs, have their matchups and whatnot. Let's go with most important player. Who do you think the most important player for the Denver Nuggets will be in their series?
Jokic.
Okay. I'm only going to go against that because I already know what to expect out of him. So he set a standard like the LeBrons, like the Stephs, like the Giannis's, playoff Jimmy Kawhi of the world. I'm going to go with Jamal Murray just because of the lack of their depth that they have, losing their coach. I think he's going to have to literally continue what he's done in the past years, but we'll see because there's a lot of different players for him. Clippers, who do you think most important for them?
Why?
Kawhi. I'm gonna go with Harden because like kind of going back to what we said, I know what to expect out of a healthy Kawhi. James Harden is known to be up and down and shrink when it matters most, but
That's
we'll
to be the
see.
thing, though, is do we know if that's the only reason why? Like, I know it's again picking the best player, but with Kawhi, I think it fits because we don't know if he's going to be healthy.
Mm.
He's
Well,
been in
you
these playoffs all the
we
time.
we don't know. I mean, yes, we can look at the past for further indication of the future if someone's going to be healthy or not. But I think we have to train our mind, kind of like with the Damian Lillard out of sight, out of mind. I think we have to just go into this series knowing that until someone gets hurt, they're going to stay on the floor. But I feel like even though Kawhi is going to be dominant on both ends, I think Harden's also his ability to get the others involved plus the scoring. I think that's why he's going to be the most important player. Lakers, who you got?
I think real quick though, I don't agree because it's different when, of course, anyone can get injured. So like, of course, that's
Yeah.
different. But someone that's the exact same thing of like me saying I don't expect that Joel Embiid is gonna get injured. Like, no, his history and everything about him says that he's not gonna be able to finish these playoffs or finish the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi, everything about him makes me feel like he's not gonna be able to finish this series. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that should play a factor into it when you've proven to be injury prone. It's not just someone who just got injured last year. He gets injured all honestly, every year he didn't win the championship in the playoffs, he got injured.
No, he was healthy when they got spanked in 6 games against OKC back in the day. I think Tim Duncan's last year. He was healthy when they blew that 3-1 lead as well too. Um,
That
so
oh,
those are
I'm not talking about I guess I'm talking about past like a certain point in time. Like once the Zaza thing happened, he
okay.
got injured.
Post Zaza. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been injured for sure. Say there's been 9 series, he was injured 7 out of them, so that's more
Hmm.
than enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm just having the mindset that until proven otherwise, they're gonna be healthy. So we'll see. Because I'm also thinking about that. I don't know. I don't even have the game on. Like, who's to say Steph Curry doesn't re-aggravate his hand and that changes the whole course of the series for Houston or Jimmy
His hand?
Butler? Yeah, isn't his hand like taped up right now?
No,
Steph Curry?
no.
Because that was the biggest argument that he like on his shooting hand, like he messed up his thumb or something like that, but he's fine. So
I just again, you're not. I just think that's not fair. You're comparing like Steph is not an injury prone player versus a guy who lit. But regardless, who's the next one is like the Lakers.
yeah, Lakers.
I think the most important for that one is for sure going to be Reeves. Because if Austin
Mm,
Reeves does what he was doing in the regular season, then it's a wrap.
it- I like that. I like that. Okay. Damn. I think I'm gonna go with Bron. Um, we know what playoff Bron is, but it is another year that he's older. We've seen some games where he played at a super high level, and some games where his legs aren't quite there. He settles for jump shots, not as aggressive as well too. Um, so I think he's gonna have to at least give you 25, 6 and 6, and they'll be okay. What about the Wolves?
Randall,
I
easy
agree.
Randall. Yeah, yeah. Because he's if he just plays like an average NBA player, their chances are different. If he plays like how he always plays, which is dog shit, then they don't have a chance.
Okay, and then what about the Bucks?
Honestly, I'm gonna go with Dame in this one because to me, if Dame comes back, I think they can. I don't maybe say easily, but I think they definitely win the series if Dame comes back.
Mm,
Because I
okay.
don't think that any of those role players are that important. I don't think that Kyle Kuzma's not going to change the tide of the series. Bobby Portis isn't going to change the tide. Kevin Porter's not going to change the tide of it. So
Yeah. I'm gonna just it's a cop out. I'm gonna go with Giannis just because we don't know if he's gonna have Dame or not. It's not official yet, so I'm anticipating him not coming back in this series, and he's probably gonna. I know they shortened their rotation, but he's probably gonna lead every team in the first round with minutes played per game. I think he only gonna rest like probably 2 minutes or 1 to 2 minutes a half. What about Pacers?
I actually think I might say either Mathurin or Turner.
Ooh.
Um, if I'm saying his name right, Mathurin or Mathurin, but
Yeah,
he's a hooper. I think that if they put the ball in his hands more and he actually is able to do something, like he could change the tide of this. And similarly, like Miles Turner, if he's just like consistent, because his defense is always pretty good. But if he's really out there like hitting threes, he's like the perfect complement for Hallie.
yeah. I'm gonna go with you as well too, with Mather as well. Very, very slept on player. Didn't even get to play last year because of injury, but he's definitely. I think he has potential to be a one of like an all-star caliber based player, and I think his game translates to the playoffs well. But like you said, if he can if he can play to his regular season capabilities, because Tyrese really wants to get the ball out of his hands relatively pretty quickly. Um, and he sometimes, at least in the playoffs from what I saw last year, he doesn't like to always be aggressive on the attack mode because he's a natural point guard. So I agree, Mathurin. Knicks, who you got?
I'm gonna go with Bridges, actually.
Oh,
I think that well, actually, I don't know if Cat's gonna give you Cat doesn't usually hit his regular season averages in the playoffs, so that'll be something. But he's usually still good enough. The threat of him hitting threes and he's big. Um, but I think that if Bridges can go out there and like hoop like how he was hooping when he was in Brooklyn, that would change the dynamic of that whole series.
yeah. Nah, I agree as well too. And then your Pistons.
I would have to go with Cade. If Ivy was back, I would say that, but they just said he's been cleared for basketball activity, so I don't know if he's gonna play in this first round at all. So I'm gonna just have to like if Cade is able to honestly, I don't know if you caught who I was comparing to him was Bron. Like if Cade is able to give us that type of performance, like where it's like, okay, I'm just the big point forward and I'm orchestrating everything and hitting all my shooters and stuff like that, then I think that they could definitely win.
Mm. I'm gonna be a troll and say, man, 2 through 8.
That's real.
And then Boston, and it don't matter. It don't matter.
No, to me,
It
it's
don't
actually
matter.
it's definitely Porzingis because he's such the X factor. Like they're already a great team without him, but when he steps on the court, it just really changes everything.
Mm.
I
And,
think they go from like a good team to a really ridiculously great team.
mm. And in Orlando,
That's who doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we're not going to win anything.
yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. It don't matter. All right. Any closing remarks for this playoff edition episode recap?
Excited just to see, where these things fall by the next time. Probably the next time we do this, first round might be over. We might be in the second round. If not, it'll be like the tail end of the first round. So it'll be interesting to see how this all starts to break.
Yeah. And by the grace of God, hopefully Kawhi can be healthy for the rest of the playoffs. I hope he proves everyone wrong, and we'll
Yep.
see what if K can muster up that LeBron esque versus the Detroit Pistons of old when he put the team on his back. That'll be nice.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 150 of the Caesar Show. Hope you guys enjoyed this playoff edition with these fire matchups. It was me, my boy Carl Conyers. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at Carl Conyers, at Sir Caesars, at the Caesar Show. We out.
Bye.